Greetings grapplers, welcome to Judo for Jiu-Jitsu. My name is Larry Keith and this is Brian Powers. And today we're going to be talking about Tai Otoshi and a really good follow-up option for Tai Otoshi and why we think it's important to focus on those follow-ups. Okay, so today we're talking about Tai Otoshi, which means body drop, and then from the Tai Otoshi, when we complete it, we're going to move into a Sankaku-jime. That's a triangle choke. We're going to do the triangle choke from the rear. This is a great follow-up. Tai Otoshi behaves in a manner when you throw your opponent that the velocity carries the opponent, so their feet actually end up kind of pointing away from you and head towards you, which makes it a little bit more difficult to just drop into a side control position. So we're almost in a north-south position, which is another option, right? But what's important is what we talk about sometimes, the fortune is in the follow-up. When you complete a throw, it should be done in a manner that puts you in a position of advantage and your opponent in a position of disadvantage. You don't want to complete a throw that initiates a scramble or puts you in a negative position with, back exposure, neck exposure, arm exposure, falling inside somebody's guard with your arm extended and getting arm barred or something like that, or falling and then them ended up on top of you in some way, right? All that work that you put in to try to make the takedown happen, and it ends up being fortunate for them instead of you. So we always talk about throwing with intent. So when I throw with intent, that means I have a plan of what my follow-up position is going to be and how to enter into that follow-up position. I believe sometimes it's called an impact control position, right? So I'm going to go into a specific thing. Also, there's backup plans because there's ambiguity, right? Sometimes when you go to execute a throw, the opponent moves some weird way or some weird thing happens, they land funky, or they don't spin out away from you like you expected them to. Well, then what's your backup plan? When that doesn't work, then maybe we go to side control. When that doesn't work, maybe we go to north-south, or maybe we're going to do a throw that makes it to where we have to do a guard pass immediately following. But the best option is to do a throw that puts you in a dominant position without having to do the work of passing the legs, but already be in a dominant position. This Tai Otoshi is a good example of that because it's going to put me in a dominant position right away. So how we set this up based on our jiu-jitsu posture, right? So judo posture up here, a lot of times Tai Otoshi, when you catch somebody with a narrow stance, that could be because you set it up with a foot sweep that brought their feet together and you come in for your Tai Otoshi, or it could be you just caught them off balance to their right front corner, if we're right versus right. Something like that, it just kind of presents itself because of the narrow stance. In jiu-jitsu, most of the time people are going to take a lower, wider base, right? Trying to keep the hips away and also be kind of in a pulling position for pulling guard or preventing any kind of forward takedown from me, right? So in that case, what we are going to do is we're going to get a cross lapel grip, which is really advantageous for us too. And in judo, that's you're limited on that as far as how you can take cross grips on somebody. The old rule when I first started judo, I think, was 3 to 5 seconds. If I cross gripped somebody, I had 3 to 5 seconds to try to execute a throw. The referee was judging that. I think nowadays, if you cross grip, you must be initiating an attack immediately. It has to be simultaneous. Otherwise, you could get penalized or possibly disqualified. Jiu-jitsu has no such rule. So if you have an opportunity to take an advantageous grip on your opponent, why not do it? So that's what we're doing here. We take this cross grip. I've got Brian's sleeve. What I like to do if I can is I want to break that grip off, okay? Now from here, I push this hand across. Now when I push this hand across, I'm threatening a back take, I'm threatening an arm drag there. So most often, your opponent is going to try to square back up with you. Now, he steps that direction to square up. Now, he's square and I'm in a bladed stance, which is still a bit of an advantage for me for the entry here. But the other thing he may do is when I push this across, he may step the other direction, right? So either way, though, kind of presents a good opportunity for me to do this throw. So I'm kind of basing this off of his desire to not have that arm across. He wants to bring the arm back, right? So I'm going to go with that. So from this position, we're going to assume he already moved, right? From this position, I pull the arm up, and I get him off balance to his right front corner. So I'm going that direction, getting him leaning on that right front foot as much as possible, right? So that direction, that's the direction I'm going to throw him. So when that happens, I come in, I step, I pivot, and I shoot my leg across his ankle, right, at about the back of my calf to like the front of his shin. You don't have to make contact. I would advise minimizing that contact and not bucking and injuring your partner's leg, right? So really low. This is a nage-waza, a hand technique, so it's mostly the work is done up here. I pull up, I step in, I shoot my ankle across his ankle. So from here, I complete the pulling. It's more of a pushing process. I'm pushing Brian in front of me and a little bit of a circle action with my hands to make him fall in front of me. Okay, so from here, now that velocity made his feet shoot out away from me a little bit. I'm going to keep my grip here, and I'm just going to sit right, actually I'm kind of laying down, I guess, right behind his head, across my foot, my ankle, my calf, across his neck, across his shoulder blades, or across his shoulder girdle, and then I make my triangle here. Okay? So let's show that again. So I got my grip, I get Brian off balance to that right front corner. Here, Tai Otoshi, sit, triangle. Another option off this that we talked about in one of our previous videos is how he reacts to my Tai Otoshi entry. Also can present an opportunity for Guerrilla. So let's trade sides for a second. So once I'm here in this position, right, I've got my grip, and I go, if he doesn't do anything when I push this arm across, it's pretty easy for me to drop down into my Guerrilla. Right, so that's part of the reason why he's going to move. So, but I can still capitalize on that. So once I'm here and I push across, and he feels that the danger of the Guerrilla or back take is there, he may push back. Then when he feels the danger of the Tai Otoshi, he may rotate with it to try to get away from it, bringing me right back into my Guerrilla. From there, we go right into a red cutter choke. So if you check out our Guerrilla videos, you'll see that technique in there. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that rear triangle that follows the Tai Otoshi. So and we'll show you kind of how it happens. So when I throw my opponent, I'm holding on to the sleeve and I'm holding on to the lapel. The lapel is to help control the head. So I can control the head and the arm and the distance that it is off the ground as well. And it presents an entry opportunity for me. So Brian, let's scoot back just a little bit. And we're here. So when I've completed the throw, my left hand is holding onto the sleeve, my right hand had that cross lapel grip, and I'm able to kind of pick him up a little bit. And you can see he's laying at an angle right here. The throw does that, right? He did a nice side fall. So I sit with the inside of my thigh underneath the back of his head like a pillow, okay? So as I do that, I point my toes downward and I curl my heel and bring my foot across his collarbones, underneath his chin. Then I make a triangle with my other leg right over the top. And when I give it a nice squeeze, I'm gonna get the tap. If I don't get a tap immediately from that, I can usually rock my hips forward and get the tap that way. And there's always the option, I have a lot of attacks that we can do to the arm from there too, right? So that's just a quick explanation of the triangle choke follow-up that we're doing, the Sankaku-jime following the Tai Otoshi. Thanks for joining us today on Judo for Jiu-Jitsu, and we hope that you enjoyed this technique. If you found some value in this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification tab so that you don't miss any future videos. Remember, when you learn one technique, you know one technique. When you learn a concept, you know 1,000 techniques. So until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.